conifers, cut loose from the world, chewing on his corncob pipe, the boy was blissfully lost in this still-water paradise. For days I lay stretched out on the floor of my attic room, trying to bring the river to life from its code of print. It was tough going. Often I found Huck's American dialect as impenetrable as Latin, but even in the most difficult bits, I was kept at it by the persistent wink and glimmer of the river. I was living inside the book, because I was more timid and less sociable than Huck. His and my adventures on the Mississippi tended to diverge. He would sneak off in disguise to forage in a riverside town or raid a wrecked steamboat. I would stay back on the raft. I laid trot lines for catfish. I floated alone on that unreal blue, watching for towheads and sawyers as the forest unrolled a mile or more across the water. I found the Mississippi in the family atlas. It was a great ink-stained Victorian book, almost as big as I was. North Africa and Italy had come loose from its binding, from my mother's attempts to keep up with my father's campaigns in the Eighth Army. North America, though, was virgin territory. No one in the family had ever thought the place worth a moment of their curiosity. I looked at the Mississippi, wriggling down the middle of the page, and liked the funny names of the places that it passed through. Just the sounds of Minneapolis, Dubuque, Hannibal, St. Louis, Cairo, Memphis, Natchez, Baton Rouge struck a legendary and heroic note to my ear. Our part of England was culpably short of Roman generals, Indians, and Egyptian ruins, and these splendid names added even more luster to the marvellous river in my head. The only real river I knew was hardly more than a brook. It spilled through a tumble-down mill at the bottom of our road, opened into a little trouty pool, then ran on through water meadows over gravelled shallows into Fakenham, where it slowed and deepened, gathering strength for the long drift across muddy flatlands to Norwich and the North Sea. All through my Huckleberry Finn summer I came down to the mill to fish for roach and dace, and if I concentrated really hard, I could see the Mississippi there. First I had to think it twice as wide, then multiply by 2, then 2 again. The rooftops of Fakenham went under. I sank roads, farms, church spires, the old German prisoner of war camp, Mr. Banham's flour mill. I flooded Norfolk, silvering the landscape like a mirror, leaving just an island here, a dead tree there, to break this lonely, enchanted monotony of water. It was a heady, intensely private vision. I hugged the idea of the huge river to myself. I exulted in the freedom and solitude of being afloat on it in my imagination. Year by year, I added new scraps of detail to the picture. I came across some photographs of the Mississippi in a dog-eared copy of the National Geographic in a doctor's waiting room. Like inefficient pornography, they were unsatisfying because they were too meanly explicit. Towboat Herman Briggs at Greenville and Madrid Bend, Missouri, gave the river a set of measurements that I didn't at all care for. I didn't want to know that it was 1.25 miles wide, or that its ruffled water wasn't blue at all, but dirty tan. The lovely, immeasurable river in my head was traduced by these artless images, and when the doctor called me in to listen to the noises in my asthmatic chest, I felt saved by the bell. Then I saw a painting by George Caleb Bingham. It showed the Missouri, not the Mississippi, but I recognized it immediately as my river. Its water had a crystalline solidity and smoothness, as if it had been carved from rosy quartz. The river and the sky were one, with cliffs and forest hanging in suspension between them. In the foreground, a ruffianly trapper and his son drifted in a dug-out canoe, their pet fox chained to its prow. The water captured their reflections as faithfully as a film. Alone, self-contained, they moved with the river, an